have a question for you because you have way more experience in this than me. I'm seeing that. My theory was, oh man, people are gonna, they're gonna love the Cryptid Club, and that's just gonna translate to Quicksands or Dogs Get 10 Lives. It doesn't even translate within genres at Severed. So it's like,
Yeah.
yes, there's some crossover, but it's not like they're going for the book, they're going for the story, they're going for the creatures, they're what they enjoy. I'm a sidebar. I really, at this point, I believe in my career, my name, Mayberry's always talking about your name is your brand. Well, then I have no brand. I mean, that's how I feel. I feel I have zero brand then. And I don't know how long it takes to make a brand. But, I have thousands of people reading these books, but they don't know me. They don't know my name. They don't,
Yeah.
they're not pre-ordering the hell out of Quicksands. So, my question to you, you write in all these different genres, Room 13, you got all this
Yeah.
going on. And I didn't know, Jay, that you wrote all this stuff that you didn't put your name on. That's a whole nother conversation
Yeah.
that, that we could have. I didn't even know you did that, because I considered doing that too. And ultimately the ego, it just crushes you. There's so much work you put into these things. It's like I wasn't going to put my name on Dogs Get 10 Lives because it's a literary self-help type book.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
totally different than what I do. And I'm like, no. I'm like, the book is too good. I did too good of a job on it. And I'm like, no. If they don't want to read it, don't read it. But you can't have that attitude.
Yeah.
But it was like what you were saying before. When you have a little more control over things, you can do more. And I've gotten used to having no control, or basically no control over the majority of my work, which is fine. That's what you give up to be read in this instance.
Yeah.
But how do you see a crossover? Do you ever get a crossover? Does anybody go, hey, I read Room 113. Am I getting that right? And then I went and I read, the coffee books that Rosamilia writes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's another one. He's all over the place. I mean, is there
Yeah.
any cross between his Bedford tales and your Room 13 book? I mean, do you see crossover or no?
Um, I do some, but again, you're talking about a very small fraction of the audience. So there are people that they've bought into the author as opposed to the book, and you can kind of see that happen because they'll just read through the book. So they'll just grab a book, read it, go to another one, grab it, and read it. Sometimes they're bought into you real well, and sometimes you're just kind of the flavor of the month. Like they just kind of got hooked onto your voice, and they'll forget about you eventually, or that kind of thing. But especially as you scale up, so you start getting to some like serious mid-list authors, and then higher. If they're writing in multiple genres, they have multiple audiences that rarely cross over. So even the ones that are really making a good living by writing, they'll talk about that, like their young adult audience does not go to their adult stuff, or their I'm not sure the categories, but we'll just say like their horror audience doesn't go to their thriller, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Now there are some exceptions. You get some of those authors that say their name is their brand. That's probably true, but they're kind of in rarefied air, I think.
Right.
And then, just speaking for myself, it's probably what I've done is probably bad for branding, because I got like these children's novels, but then I also got nominated for a Splatterpunk Award for Seersucker Motherfucker, and then I do this faith podcast. So like, there's no way to write that into a sentence that doesn't make you sound like you're schizophrenic.
Your
you know
bio must be a trip, man.
Yeah, it just depends on who I'm appealing to as to what I tell them about or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But then there's some weirdness too, and maybe I'll ask you about this because you and I are close to the same age, but your publishing career spans a much longer period of time than mine. I'm getting into some things like Twitch, which is a video game platform, but I'm writing on it, and then Patreon and some of these other things that do kind of focus on developing loyalty around name as opposed to specific product. So I'm seeing some results from that.